And I remember I was on the mound. I'm like watching him run around the base. I'm about to get a new ball, and I kind of feel like the ground's shaking a little bit.
Hey, we was talking about that.
People don't realize like the ground really does shake when it gets to a certain noise level.
It was crazy. And I remember looking around like I just gave up a home run. We're down 1-0 in the biggest game I've ever pitched in. But in my head, I was like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, bro, like, it's cool, man.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the 2% Podcast. I'm Keonbu Finchers, Ro Coleman, Harrison Ray with me.
Yes, sir.
And seems like we always have special guests. I'm going to keep saying it because we do have a special guest in the house tonight. This evening. You guys don't know. But anyhow, we got a 2021 draft pick, I believe. Yeah, 2021 draft pick. Second overall pick. At that, we got
SEC Newcomer of the Year, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, 2021 SEC Newcomer of the Year.
Come on now. All the accolades, Golden Spikes finalists, all that. We got Jack freaking Leiter in the crib with us today.
Yes,
Welcome,
sir.
my brother.
I appreciate it.
How you doing, man?
Good.
Everything's good? Yeah, man. So at the 2% Podcast, man, we basically highlighting, the road, the process to get to a Division I sport. Across all sports, female and male, only 2% of those high school athletes make it to Division I. And so it's like, you don't realize those numbers until now, honestly. And so we kind of want to speak on the process, your process particularly, on what you were doing, the kind of work you were putting in, your recruiting process, and what kind of set you apart, from the other 20 teammates that you might have that allows you to play at a prestigious school like Vanderbilt. So just speak on the process and the work you put in.
Yeah. So obviously playing in college alone and playing in the SEC, and then specifically for me, it was playing at Vanderbilt. That's a dream. That's something that, it's a long distance goal when you're just a middle school kid, but that was the age I started watching baseball really closely, and I started seeing those guys who'd gone up the ranks through Vanderbilt, and it seemed like a really cool place, and that's really all I knew about it. And then I had my dad who was lucky enough to pitch in the big leagues for 19 years, and
Sheesh.
and he had a lot of experience around that. I had a lot of experience around baseball, but he never pushed me to do anything. It was never him telling me to do something, but he said, if you want to be good, if you want to go to a place like Vanderbilt that you dream about going to, you got to put in the work. And that's a broken record. I think everybody says it comes down to work ethic, but it's really true. I don't think I had a lot of God-given abilities. I know my dad played for a long time, so people would think that. But at my younger years, I wasn't like dominating the field in any sport. It was something that I had to work for, and it was a slow process. But that's kind of how I ended up here eventually.
Yeah. Speak a little bit more on, I guess, so you say sophomore, junior year. I guess we had some other guys just talk about the work that they were putting in, without having to be told what to do. And I'm sure as a guy like yourself, you kind of took ownership of your own growth. I want to be at Vanderbilt. I want to play beyond Vanderbilt. I got to have certain habits, and so kind of speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, I think Coach Corbin, he's somebody who talks about that a lot, but my dad is too. It's the small details, it's the little things, and it sounds cliche, but it's like that extra rep that you do, those do add up. Yeah. And it's, I'm gonna do 10 push-ups right here and you're at 7 and it still feels easy, you do 15. Yeah. It's something like that. It's that mindset that carries into really everything you do, but especially, in the weight room, or if you're working on something mechanically, it's just that extra rep mentality. It really does carry over, and I think that sort of drives a work ethic, and whatever it is motivating you, if it's, this extra rep's going to get me to Vanderbilt, that's going to get me that college offer. It's whatever you can convince your mind to do the extra step, I think makes the difference.
It's monumental.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, before we get to the Vandy side, first time I saw you throw your freshman year, I was like, why is this dude in college? Then I'm like, who is this then? Like Jack Leiter, Al Leiter's son. I was just like, he shouldn't be in college. Like, you could clearly see the ability you had was advanced for your age, and just not just being a freshman, but across the board in college. I know you probably had the opportunity to probably pursue professional baseball right out of high school, but what pushed you more to go to Vandy?
Yeah, so I mean, it's like I said with Vanderbilt, it was a dream of mine from day one, and academics are a really important part to my family, what they preach, and it was always use baseball to get you into a school that you couldn't get into if you weren't an athlete. And that narrows it down as it is. There's not a lot of SEC schools with, super high class in terms of academics. So Vanderbilt was a quick one that came to mind. I looked at a school like North Carolina and Duke and Notre Dame, but Vanderbilt was the dream. And in terms of committing there, I was looking at some of those schools that are really, really smart and not quite on the SEC level. As maybe I go there freshman year, and this was still at the time where my sophomore year of high school, there were kids way bigger, way stronger, throwing way harder, and those were the kids committing to Vanderbilt, and I wasn't quite there yet. I was a little bit behind. I just hit my growth spurt. I was kind of figuring some things out, and it was, do I go to one of those lesser schools that I might not want to go to as much and maybe pitch right away freshman year? Or do I go to a school like Vanderbilt, wait my turn, and maybe a couple years in is when I get my opportunities, but just work hard. And that was the mindset I had when I first committed to Vanderbilt. I wasn't thinking about being the guy from day one, whatever it was. It was kind of waiting my turn. But then senior year came along, and I made a little jump, and I had a really good summer going into senior year, and that's when the draft talks kind of started. But truly, I never really looked at the draft as an option. I went to high school with Anthony Volpe. He's the Yankees' top prospect now. So he was my shortstop, which that was awesome to have because we kind of went through that process together. And he was also committed to Vanderbilt. And same story, his family really preached academics, and the whole time in the summer circuit, like those All-American games, Under Armour, whatever it was in the summer, me and Volpe, we'd be the ones saying, no, we're going to college, and all these other kids are talking about what they're going to be doing with their signing bonuses next year, all that. And we wanted to go to college. We wanted to go to Vanderbilt. We wanted to make it to Nashville, and we wanted to make it to Omaha, and that just seemed like a step along the way to pro ball, and that's kind of what ended up making the difference for me. Anthony ended up getting, a first-round offer to the New York Yankees, the team he grew up loving and dreamed about, being the next Derek Jeter in pinstripes. So that's obviously a really cool option for him too. And it was still a tough decision because he did want to come to Vanderbilt, and we kind of ended up going those separate ways. But I was really happy to make it to campus.
No, for sure.
So I mean, I was fortunate enough. My last year was with you, and that COVID year is a really weird year. But for me, what I took from it was just like the minute I saw you step on campus, it was kind of like you're just an older soul. So I kind of want to know, did you have like a wake up, like, oh yeah, like college moment where it's like, oh crap, like yeah, I'm in college, like this is, or like on the field, off the field, like what was that moment that you had for both situations where you're like, okay, yeah, like I'm here now. Like this is college baseball.
Yeah, so we had a cool little opportunity my freshman year. I think you were on campus too that summer, but it was like 8 of us in that freshman class. We all came to Nashville and took a class. Yeah. And we worked with Hammer, the strength coach at the time, and that was sort of the adjustment period to the routine leading up to fall ball, because we had the whole summer to be in Nashville, be on campus, and that was amazing in my opinion, because we sort of, got our bearings. It's obviously overwhelming. You're in a new city. You're in a school that you've never been to before, really, other than visiting. So I think that was sort of the moment where I started transitioning into like, all right, I'm here. Kumar was there, and I'd watched him 6 months earlier throw a no-hitter against Duke in the regional and strike out 19 guys. So to me, I had only seen him on TV and once on my official visit, and he seemed like a guy like wow, that guy's like, he's famous now. And I get on campus and I'm there this summer and we're kind of hanging out with him, and that's like, it's like anything else. Those people that seem like, they're like next level, he's a cool guy. You hang out with him and they're all normal people. Everybody's just a normal person. And that was sort of the moment, like, okay, we can all fit in here. And I think we did that together as a freshman class that summer, which was cool.
Got you.
Did you have a on the field type of experience in terms of like welcome, like I'm at Vandy type of thing? Like me personally, I mean, it's my freshman year, first actual training session, and we're usually in shorts and a shirt, and then we go in the pants and stuff on official day. And like I first day on the field BP, and I'm watching these guys. It was Brian Reynolds my freshman year. He was a junior. We had Toffee, Rowe, Cal Smith, all these guys, Jaron Kendall. And I'm watching the BP. And like in the last round, I'm watching these guys on command hit the ball out the park to the street. And me, I'm looking like, dang, like on command, like just whenever you wanted to. So that for me, that was like my mom, like, dang, these guys kind of different, you know, like they can do it when they want to do it, you know. And so like, did you have an experience like that? Was like, oh, like this is Vanderbilt, I'm here, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, those fall scrimmages are super competitive.
100%.
And the skin scrimmages that we do, where every inning's like the 9th inning, and you know, there's walk-offs every inning. It's something it's different, but I think it sort of builds the competitiveness and kind of prepares you for the SEC level of competitiveness. But I did have one where I think I gave up like 7 runs in like 2 innings. I was giving up like home run here, double here, home run here, home run here. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could do this. And I'm walking off the mound, and Brownie, the pitching coach, he comes up to me and he's like, hey, like they had every pitch that you could throw because you were tipping the glove, you were squeezing it on your fastball.
I remember this.
Yeah, you were squeezing it on your fastball. You were flaring it open on your off-speed pitches. And Mason Hickman in the other dugout, he got it from like the first pitch, and he was like, "You'll be okay. You'll be okay." And that was sort of my moment. Like, it was funny. You can't be doing that.
That's real. We also talked about this might have been yours, but that moment where you go back to your room or you leave the locker room and you just kind of like, damn, like, is this for me? You know, like this, like one of those moments. I think mine was like more, on the field too, but more, we was doing like morning workouts in my freshman year, waking up at 5, be there at 5:30 in the dugout. And so like when you wake up, I'm just like, I'm not trying to walk all the way down there, dog. Like, you question like, dang, do I really want to do this? But once you get there, it all goes away, But so did you have a moment like that where you actually contemplated, like, shit, or I called my dad, like one of those type of moments?
Yeah, I think there's moments like that, but it all comes back to the culture that Corbs develops at Vanderbilt. It's like everybody's buying into everybody, and that's sort of where you find the comfort. I think is I had a really good roommate freshman year, Thomas Schultz, and we would always bounce ideas off each other. And then sophomore year, I had Sam Leboki, so we had. I think having a good roommate and having a good group of guys that's not just the whole locker room, because everybody's a good guy in their own way, but finding your few guys at times when you need it is important, because especially freshman year, living on commons,
secluded,
and then walking. I remember those mornings walking like Omaha Challenge, just dreading what we were about to do, having no idea what it was going to be. Man. It's like 30 degrees. We're like walking there. It's a 15-minute walk, and you're barely awake. And
think about the worst.
It's tough.
My stomach was down here. My first Omaha Challenge, I was nervous. Bro.
I didn't eat, didn't drink anything. I was like, bro, I don't know what I'm about to do.
Good stuff, man.
See, you got that hoodie on, Nolan Ryan. And when somebody watches you pitch, like you tell that confidence, you have that confidence about you, but you're not boastful about anything. But where would you say that dog and that confidence came from?
I mean, I think it came from, like I said earlier, just being the little guy that wasn't always the Vanderbilt commit. I wasn't getting looks in 8th grade because that's not what I was. I played second base, and I always go back to this, but I played second base, and I hit 9th on all my travel teams, and I was the little guy that the outfielders would come in for when I was hitting, and I would try to hit it over their heads, and that was sort of where the chip on my shoulder developed. And then going into sophomore year or going into junior year, the whole like USA tryouts, all that. I barely got invited. I had my high school teammate Anthony Volpe. He was all America, all everything, and there were guys that would come and watch him, and I would have a good outing here, and then I would get invited, and I wasn't expecting anything from it, but I would just kind of put my head down, and I think that that sort of developed the quiet confidence.
So you wasn't a 12U All-American?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Far from it.
People
Let's speak on that for a little bit. You know, we was talking to Enrique about it. You know, just how when we were playing in high school, social media wasn't like that, but especially around you, Enrique, like the lower younger guys, social media in baseball now is like huge, and like the kids wearing the shades and you gotta walk around with the PG on your head, and they got 9U All-American games now. And so kind of just speak on the social media aspect, good, bad, the pros and cons of it. You know, your thoughts on social media in today's time when it comes to recruiting and offers and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's tough to really make a call on, because I don't know. I think social media in general has a lot of negatives. I think just like for off the field, for everything. Like I think mental health for people, a lot of people struggle with that. So I honestly think in a lot of ways, a lot of people would be better off just with no social media. It's a lot more simple. That being said, I do partake in social media. I have an Instagram, I have Twitter, I have all that stuff, but I try to take steps away from it, and I see all that, like the 9U stuff and kids posting their highlight videos at 11U baseball, and it's a little much, but I mean everyone's different. So if it works for you, that's awesome. But I wouldn't do that.
Y'all got the clean answer, it's the filter answer. But good stuff, man. Now I want to talk a little bit more. You touched on the confidence part when you step on the mound and everything. I want you to kind of preach about routine. You know, we had one of the Sheffield brothers on. He really talked about routine, how important that is. Enrique talked about having his routine, going ups and downs, but always sticking to your routine. And so speak on that, your own personal routine. You don't got to get too detailed about it, but just how important it is to you, up, down, good, bad, how consistency, the whole nine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think from an off-season standpoint, it's doing everything you can to keep it one day at a time. Mm-hmm. And it's like the small focus. And in season, it's whatever you can do, even smaller focus, one pitch at a time. Mm-hmm. And that's always been what my dad said. He had this thing that he had me memorize when I was 12 years old, and it was something he got from a mental performance guy who's unfortunately passed since then. No, it was Harvey Dorfman. He wrote some good books about the mental side of baseball, but my dad, he had a shoulder surgery and a knee surgery, and he thought he was done with baseball at 26, 27 years old, and he went out with Harvey to Prescott, Arizona, and they spent a weekend together and just like reprogramming his mind, and he came back from that injury and ended up playing another 12, 13 years after that. So he attributes all that success to Harvey and the work they did, but he gave me the whole mantra when I was 12 years old of, you just have to do everything you can to be mentally and physically prepared to execute a quality pitch consecutively until the game's over or the manager takes the ball from you without allowing distractions to affect you. And that's kind of what I've done. It's just like do everything I can to be mentally and physically prepared. So if that's, working with a mental performance coach or getting in the small little arm care workouts that you got to do that, might not be, sexy or pretty where you're lifting all the weight, but it's doing what you need to do, and routine is everything. So I think without a routine, there's not much left, especially for a pitcher.
If you have a bad game, do you switch up your routine?
No. I think there's something to be said for if you're struggling, throughout a year and there's something clear. Like this year I struggled in my first innings. I gave up a lot of runs. So since the season's ended, I've looked back and it's, what am I doing in my pregame warm up? Am I over preparing? Am I under preparing, specifically like my body to be ready to go from pitch one? And that's something that's real. Like I think there's things to be added and things to be taken away, but there's a base level of a routine that should never be messed with.
So I need to highlight what he just said in terms of it needs to be very obvious on, like he said, throughout the season, struggle with the first inning. So it's not like you had one bad game or now I'm spinning and I got to go change.
Jumping ship quick.
And I don't think you should be super stubborn in some ways either. I think especially when you get to a place like Vanderbilt, everyone's got their high school routines, but I'll tell you, my high school routine was good because I did have a really strong influence in my dad, but some people don't. So some people don't have the best routines. They're just, you know, the athletic guy that comes in and he's got his routine, but it's nothing crazy. It changes a lot until like the big leagues. And then once you're there, you really know your body and you know everything. But when I got to Vanderbilt, I was looking at other guys' routines and I would pick and choose what I liked and I would add it into mine. And I think that's how I helped develop what I think is a really good routine is, you know, getting ideas from other people that I played with.
We could go back a little bit, back to like the COVID year and just explain that. Talk about that COVID year and then even your next year going into that. Because I don't think a lot of people know, I want to say you had what, three starts that COVID year, didn't face any SEC play. I want to say it was South Alabama, there's somebody else, and then USC. And then the next year you get in and you finally get that first year of SEC play, but this is now your second year in school. So like, what was that like? Kind of talk on that a little bit.
Yeah, I think the COVID year, I think if you know, obviously some people didn't have, you know, places they could go to work out and stuff like that with all the restrictions, and that's tough to come by. But assuming you did have that, I think you were able to use that year as a blessing in disguise, and that's sort of what I tried to do. I took a month off throwing after that, and I think I made 4 starts that year. But I took a month off throwing and just, you know, blasted the lower body in the weight room and worked on what I needed to work on in terms of body stuff. And then I got right to it in that summer, and I was facing some pro guys and some college hitters that are up in New Jersey. And we were at my high school field, and it got super competitive, and we were lucky enough to have Rapsodo and TrackMan, and I was using all that stuff to just continue to refine my stuff. And I think that summer really helped me in terms of like my compete level and where I was at on a physical level for what ended up being my last year, the following year at Vanderbilt.
And so a lot of people don't know that following year you went on a stretch where it was 3 games. It was a no-hitter against South Carolina. Missouri, you took a no-hitter. Was it a no-hitter or a perfect game?
No-hitter
into like the 8th inning. And then who was after that? There was another game, I want to say. And
I think it went like another 4 innings. So it was the first part of the LSU start the next week.
So like what was it mentally for you? What was it like going through that stretch where you don't want to get too high, but you also, what you're doing is something different. That's very crazy that not a lot of people do. We're talking about almost like 18, 20 some innings of just dominancy. So like, what is it like trying to balance that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was in a really good place at the time of just like doing it for the team. And we had Kumar pitching on Fridays, and he was doing his thing, and it was special to watch. And I would get to witness that on Fridays. And the no-hitter was the first SEC game that I'd ever witnessed. It was right after Kumar. He struck out 14 guys on Friday.
Shit.
Sorry about it.
I think he went 8 innings, 14 strikeouts.
Is this South Carolina?
South Carolina.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we won that one on Friday, like 2-1. And then Saturday, I was hyped up. It was my first SEC outing. I felt pretty good about where things were at, but there were a lot of things that I wasn't happy about in my starts leading up to that. And even that game, it took, 3 innings in, I was like, I don't have a breaking ball today. And I don't know what I'm going to do, but they're not hitting the fastball. So there was one time, I think in the 3rd, I shook off Brownie. And I never really shook off Brownie because I thought he called a really good game. I shook him off and struck the guy out on another fastball. And I walked in and I was like, let's just keep throwing it until they show they're going to hit it, the fastball. And that's sort of what we did. And I tried to find my breaking ball all day, but it ended up being all fastballs, every strikeout. So that was a special day. And then the week after was kind of just riding the hot streak and really just doing everything I do. Like we talked about with the routine, everything I do, I try to do the same. And I tried to do that all year.
Yeah, what really sucks about that is it's just the fans at the time weren't even in the stands like that because of the COVID protocols kind of still in place. Like, that needed to be
blown. It wasn't like the same.
It couldn't be appreciated as much as it should have been. You know, like to have a full crowd and you do that. You know, that's
like Kumar.
Yeah, exactly. In a moment like that, like while we on that subject, like kind of. I mean, you mentioned taking bits and pieces from people, older guys. You know, kind of talk about, you know, not too much get into your relationship with Kumar. Everybody's done that, but like, what kind of things have you witnessed, and you can I can adapt that to what I already have, you know, from Kumar or anybody else like on the squad?
Well, I think him specifically, just his routine and the way he carries himself. It's a professional vibe, I guess, and I knew that from the day I stepped on campus. So he's a good guy to just, you know, follow around, and that's sort of what I did. I tried to be the quieter freshman and just see how the older guys were doing things, and it was special. And the way he gets in and competes, but then away from the field, he's just a laid back, cool guy. I think that's pretty admirable, and I think having him on the staff both years I was there really helped me because, like I said, watching him on Friday and something like that, he struck out 14 guys and went 8 innings, and we won 2-1, and he kind of put the team on his back on Friday, and that's special. And watching him compete, it's like it drills it into your mind, like, I can do that too, but you gotta get in the mindset of competing. So I would say that's the number one word with him is competitive, and that's how I got it, I think.
No, that's real. Talk about going to the College World Series and what that experience was like.
Like paint a whole picture. So the people who don't play, or the people who, you know, who have played, like kind of paint a picture for them on like what it's like, you know, like plane, the hotel, the bus ride,
and the glamours of it.
The suit, getting your suit ready,
like the whole nine. It's an experience, man, that you'll never forget. You remember everything, the vendors, the free stuff that you gonna get, the autographs, the pictures.
Looking out and seeing all the that's what people don't get. That stadium's so big, and you just start looking around, and you're like, whoa, there's actually a lot of people here right now.
Even before, even just going through the year, did you even think? I mean, obviously you expect to go to Omaha, but did you see that team going to Omaha?
I did, yes. I thought we had a really special team, but again, I didn't have experience. It was my first year pitching in the SEC, so I knew we would get hot, then we would lose whatever. When we lost a weekend series, you know, we thought the world was ending. We
still the same.
Nothing changes.
Yeah. So throughout the season, it fluctuates, I guess, but it's sort of like anybody's big goals. Like everybody, whatever, you want to be a big league baseball player, like, that's out in the distance, but for right now, what can I do to get better? And that's the mindset we took all year. It wasn't like we're going to Omaha, and Corbs is good about that too. He's like, that's special, going to Omaha, but you can create a special team, and you know, the ball doesn't go your way, and that's the way it ends. So it's not something that's like we're going to Omaha. It's like, what are we doing today to get better and win the weekend series this weekend? And I think that was kind of how we approached that. But Omaha's a special place. I think there's some things in baseball between when you're little, Cooperstown, and maybe in high school you get to play in a state championship, or one summer you get to play on a big league field. There's some special things that you can check off as you go. But Omaha's definitely up there for coolest things I ever did. And pitching in that environment is special. And I know y'all played Michigan in 19, and they were talking about how it's sort of like it was more neutral, the crowd.
It was very neutral.
And playing Mississippi State.
Complete opposite.
When we found out that Mississippi State was playing, we were like, all right, boys, it could be a little bit of an away game here. And there were Twitter videos of them loading up buses of people in Starkville, Mississippi when they made it to the final.
That's crazy.
So I had game 1 of the final, and I had already pitched the week before against NC State, and we lost 1-0, but we ended up making it to the final. A little controversial with all the COVID stuff, but we were there, and it was game 1, and we knew what we were going to be doing, and we knew what the crowd was going to be like. And I get out there, top of the first inning, I think it was 2 quick outs, and then their 3-hitter hits a home run. And I remember I was on the mound I'm like watching him run around the base. I'm about to get a new ball, and I kind of feel like the ground's shaking a little bit.
Hey, we was talking about that.
People don't realize like the ground really does shake when it gets to a certain noise level.
It was Mississippi State you was talking about.
That was when I went to Mississippi State, but I'm Omaha, the ground shaking the whole all the time.
It was crazy, and I remember looking around like I just gave up a home run. We're down 1-0 in the biggest game I've ever pitched in. But in my head, I was like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, bro, like, it's cool, man.
Yeah. And then the bottom of the first, we put up like 8 runs, and I kind of could cruise from there because pitching with a 7-run lead is pretty fun. But that was awesome.
Did y'all have body armor there as well?
Yeah, I think we did.
Okay, I'm gonna say we was there. It was like
straight body armor. Shut up.
Refrigerators full of body armor. We taking 10 in the bag, taking it back to the hotel.
Back to the crib. The fridge was full in the crib with just straight body armor.
Crazy, man.
We did love us some body armor.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. And they had flavors that I ain't seen in stores. They had that pineapple coconut joint that I ain't seen. But I thought they had like a masseuse on the first day. I think you could get like massage. They was getting free massages on the first day. Like people like we had like your first practice on the field. You come in, hey, you want a massage? I'm like, I ain't need nothing. I'm just going to get my massage.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You can have time slots and everything.
We went there, body armor was just starting to get hot. I can't remember though. I can't remember vividly if it was there though.
Yeah.
So what was the suit? What you pull up in for Omaha? Because I'm sure Corbs gave y'all the whole tutorial how to fold it and everything and like pack it in your bags. Like what was all that like?
Yeah, I mean the travel. That was awesome at Vanderbilt too. As we traveled, nice. We're chartering flights.
Well, say it. It's exclusive.
It's special, and I don't really think you even realize that when you commit to Vanderbilt because, I mean, minor league teams, AAA teams aren't traveling like that.
No,
them buses is not.
No AC.
Nobody's traveling like that. So, that's special, and we got fitted for our jackets our freshman year, and that's a cool day, and everybody likes to look good. So
what color did you put on the inside of yours?
I originally got this like floral pattern. I wanted it pretty bad, but they were out of that one, so I ended up going with like a solid green, I think.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, speaking of like travel, so I remember it might have been my sophomore year. We took a bus. It was black and gold, and we taking a bus to the Omni Hotel. So like we treated it like an away game. So we all stayed in the Omni Hotel, even though we stayed on campus. So we loaded the bus up. We stayed there for 3 days, and so he wanted us to like basically get the feeling of coming down for breakfast, having a morning meeting, getting on the bus, getting off the bus, like the whole spiel. So it was like, I say that to say it was like first class, like all the way. That's just Vanderbilt though. That's not everywhere at all.
No.
Yeah. You 'cause at the SEC tournament you get to, the top 8 teams stay in that one big hotel, and you got the mall on the inside. The other 2 teams stay, I don't know. But did you get a chance to interact with the other ball players from other teams and like sit down with them either in the game room and stuff or at the CAF? I mean, we talked to them and their experiences at their universities. Nowhere near our experiences.
They be making fun of us
at Vandy, so you get a chance to like chop it up with them at all.
Yeah, and then you get into pro ball and you're with the guy who went to Mississippi State, a guy who went to Tennessee, and everybody's experience is different. And I firmly believe that Vandy's is special in another way, and almost to a fault at some point. It's like I talked to some people about this. It's so special at Vanderbilt that you get into pro ball and it's like.
Like, what is this?
Nah, really,
like, what is this, bro? You like, bad.
It's like,
but like, I don't know. Y'all don't even understand. I remember talking to Coors, man. When I did my 1 year at Nevada, and he reached out. We were talking for a little bit, and I'm like, I don't know if I got spoiled at Vandy or we just did things so first class, and I'm just so used to a certain level of excellence throughout the whole program, from top to bottom, to the weight room, to the training staff, to how we eat. Everything travel. I'm like, is this spoiled? Like, do we get spoiled, or is this like it's not like this? Man, like it's not like this everywhere, man. Like you really gotta enjoy it, because these probably saying pro ball nowhere near the Vanderbilt experience at all. It's like you going from up here you going back down here, and so it's like you got to adjust.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I think in ways it actually like hurts you at first.
Yes.
Because then there's these guys coming from really small schools that didn't have anything Vandy has, and they get into pro ball and they're like, this is cool. This is special.
I don't even know what I've experienced in 4 years, But shoot, while we on the subject, let's talk about best stadium, to play in terms of like fans. Kind of as pitchers, you guys have that bullpen. Some stadiums have the fans right on top of you, and some of them they talking trash. Like, do you embrace? Like me personally, I love the shit talking from the fans. Like, it's part of the experience. Like, if I go to a stadium, they ain't talking. Like, it's whack. So
not fun.
Yeah, you got something like that.
I mean, all the stadiums. I really liked them. I mean, y'all got to play in a lot cooler places, a lot more cool places than I did because I only had 1 year of SEC baseball.
That's true.
So wait, I guess we should start off. What places did you play in?
So I was at LSU, which was awesome.
Yeah, that's dope.
Ole Miss, which was awesome. We played at Tennessee, which was awesome.
Yeah.
It was better for them because Tennessee was good against them.
Yeah, I heard Tennessee wasn't crazy.
It would never like the way y'all talk about Tennessee. We never got that experience because when we go to play Tennessee, it's like it's like, little bro, we're supposed to beat them.
No,
like,
Tennessee was crazy. We were pulling up in the bus a couple hours, however many hours early you get.
2.5.
Two.
Yeah, and there's people. They hadn't opened the gates yet, and there's people lined out down the street just waiting to get into the building, and it's like it's way before game time now, and we're like, okay, this is gonna be cool.
It's real,
it's gonna be cool. Kumar shoved again on Friday, and
bounce back weekend for him because he played Georgia, and so I knew because he got his shit lit up. But he still had 14 Ks against Georgia.
Guys would kind of touch him a little bit, but he was averaging over 10 Ks against teams. And it's like, bro, y'all talking, he's striking y'all out 10 times a game. Like,
bounce back weekend for him. He go to Tennessee, and I'm watching that game. They talking like the crazies on the side, going nuts. And he's talking too. Like, I'm watching on the screen, he's talking back, and I'm like, I'm here. I'm getting lit, and so I know once he beat them, I knew the second day was gonna be crazy because everybody wants y'all. Like, it's two horses. Okay, we couldn't get the first guy, we gonna get the second guy. So like, just talk about that, just the atmosphere.
No, it was special, and they had this like. I don't know if it's like the frat guys or whatever it is, but they're right behind first base now. And there's a group of it's not that big of a group. It's probably 30 guys, but they're crazy. And they have this Twitter account, and they'd be like tweeting at me like after the Friday night game, like, we're going to make Jack Leiter cry tomorrow. Like, all this stuff. So I mean, I knew it was going to be crazy, and it was. And I gave up 3 solo homers that game and 2 to the same guy. And I remember one of them hurt a little bit because those dudes are chanting overrated. I'm like, oh yeah. And I throw one, and that pitch, home run. so that one hurt. That one hurt. And we ended up losing that one in like the 9th. And that one didn't feel great, but it was a good environment. And then I'm pretty sure we came back and we won a crazy one on Sunday. Enrique stole like 5 bases, and
we was talking about that.
I think he tagged up on a pop up to the second baseman and scored. I think that was that game. So he does some cool stuff always too. So that was fun, and that was just one of the special places in the SEC. I wish I got to play at Arkansas and Mississippi State, Texas A&M.
But you got some good places, man. In terms of Tennessee now, and you have to go to LSU, Ole Miss, but Mississippi State, Arkansas. For me, I told them like that was by far my favorite place to play. Like,
that looks cool.
Deep, giving you food after the game. Pregame BP, they're talking to you, but like the pig suey, you got the dancers on top of the dugout.
They actually have a hog out there.
I ain't know that.
They have a caged hog out there in front. I remember my mom told me, she's like, I pulled up and there's a pig in a cage, like a real hog out there. I'm like, bro, what?
I didn't know that either.
A real hog, that's crazy. But what about, did you throw in the SEC tournament that year?
Yeah, I pitched against.
Who'd you throw against?
I pitched against Ole Miss. We didn't have a good year that year in the SEC tournament. I think we lost in like 3 games. We lost the game I threw, and that was that was a tough environment after that. Like the bus ride home, it was dead silent.
Of course.
The spirits.
Didn't that talk?
The spirits were low, and then I think we lost Friday to Arkansas, and we were done, and we were out, and we had to look ahead to the postseason. But that was tough that was a tough bullet to bite. But I think everybody got past that, and obviously we ended up in Omaha, so it was special.
In a time like that, we do have a loss, and mostly everybody has feel, not to, dick around the bus or in the locker room. Like, course will talk to you, trying to get you back on track. But in terms of the locker room and maybe the leaders on the team, after a loss, like, how do you guys kind of corral, like, get the spirits back up, or what was the culture like, in that locker room? Like post-loss, like to get back on track?
Yeah, I think it has to start with somebody or some people taking some kind of accountability, and I was fine with that being me. So after we got back to the hotel, I kind of sent in the team group chat. I was just like, I typed up this message, and I was like, yeah, this one might work. It was just kind of, today's on me. Like I got to be better, and I will be better, but in general, we got to play looser. Like it felt like everybody was tight. Yeah. Everybody was tight, and we kind of had to get back to where we were at the earlier times in the year when everybody was feeling good, and you got the midweeks, and a lot of guys build their confidence in those, and they're going into the weekend feeling good, and now it's good team, good team, good team. Everybody's good in the postseason. So we had to find a way to play loose, and I think it started with everybody kind of taking accountability.
Go ahead.
Did you make your transition into pro ball? Kind of talk about the differences between the Vanderbilt and the pro ball experience, and talk about on the field the adversity that you have gone through, and how do you bounce back from that?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of it this year. It was a long year, and it's one that I look back on, and there's little things that I'm excited to change going into next year, and that's the beauty of it, is you keep working, and that's what makes it fun, is that's how you get better. But I think on the field, adversity, it's different than the SEC, because it's easy to just kind of coast sometimes in pro ball. You're in these small minor league towns, and it doesn't really feel like the fans are bought in at most of them. It's rarely a packed house, and that's not the SEC. The SEC is all about, how are we going to win this weekend? Once you win the weekend, how are we going to sweep? And that's everything. Everybody wants to do it. Everybody wants you to do well. Everybody's got the same goal. In minor league baseball, everybody's goal isn't necessarily to win. It's how do I get up to the next level? So that's different. You kind of have to rally around whoever your support group is, and that could be, family, friends, the couple teammates that you get really close with, and they want the best for you, because that's not always the clearest thing in something with that nature of, I just want to move up. I don't really care about some of these guys. That's the way some people are, but I think that's important, is to find those few people to rely on, and hopefully you got a team that's pretty special, and everybody does care about each other and winning. But it's not always the case in pro ball from what I've heard and seen.
No, for sure, it's real.
Let's talk a little bit on, you did already, about your mindset and how you approach, next pitch, execute this pitch, consistently. I guess I want to get out of you, because it's no way that we was talking to Sheffield yesterday and just talking about ultra confidence and swagger, and sometimes you got to feel yourself to be, like, you have to feel yourself to be great. I'm sorry, like, you can be humble, of course, but also you got to have a certain something about you to compete, number one, in the SEC, and to excel, number two. And so, like, really, like, take us through, like, how you actually feel in terms of, like your mindset. Like, I call you like a silent assassin. Kumar's more vocal, energetic. He gonna let you know. He gonna talk to you. Fist pump here, but everybody knows that you feel the same way about yourself. So, like, kind of touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, to me, I've always thought that's cool. Like I've looked at the guys who I think both are cool in their different ways, but I've looked at the guys who, he hits a 500-foot home run and he drops his bat and he runs. I think that's cool.
That is
I
cool,
do. I do. It might be old school, but I'm okay with the bat flips and the yelling at the other dugout and stuff. But I've always I've gone the other way, like big strikeout, raw emotion, and then walk back.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I am definitely. I would describe myself as sort of a quietly confident person because I'm not gonna be shouting at the other team, but it's definitely there, and it never goes away. And if it does, there's ways to get it back. I think my dad said, I think he got it from A-Rod. A-Rod would look at, he called it like his dig me tape, and he would look at just videos of him hitting homers.
Feel yourself.
30 minutes before the game, he's looking at videos of him hitting his longest home runs, and that's what he would do. And so for me, it's just whether it's putting together a video with some music you like behind it, but something of just success and strikeouts and your best games. And then you kind of go back there. You're like, what was I thinking in those games? Like, not a lot, but it's confident thoughts. So I think there's ways to get back to it.
100%.
Yeah, I guess to kind of go back a little bit, we've all kind of been in those like unruly environments. And so like, how did you, and I guess you and the team, we've all been there in the Ole Misses, the Tennessees, the Mississippi States. And so how do you guys kind of stay composed and like stay in your game and not let them get you out of your game?
I think in crazy moments like that, it goes back to your training. And at Vanderbilt, your training is the best of the best, and you train in competitive environments, and everything about it is competitive. So you get into those and you fall back on the work that you've put in, and that's just kind of what you default to. And especially pitching, it really is the same game, and a lot of times you don't hear, it's just noise. It's just like it's not like you're hearing specific chirps really. It's just kind of like white noise, and you're focused on what you need to focus on, and that's what sign is the catcher putting down. Am I on the same page? What do I want to throw here? Where do I want to throw it? What kind of hitter is this? And you're so locked in on that, you really don't notice it. And then a lot of times, especially when things are going good, you look up and it's the 7th inning and you're up 3-0, and they're a little bit quieter than they were in the first, and that's kind of the way it is.
And I guess you just mentioned it a little bit. Do you have, I guess to talk about the mental side a little bit, do you have any like mental cues? Like I know Ken, when he was with us, he came and talked to us, and I took a lot from that, but he was like, before you get into the box, take a deep breath. And then for me, it was like I would look at my name on the bat. So like, I don't care where I was, like I knew I'd step out, take that deep breath, look at my name on the bat, and then get back in the box because I knew I was locked in. So what is your mental cues and processes, I guess, for people to understand?
I've heard some pitchers say that when they step off the back of the mound, they look at the top of the flagpole because that's something that's in every stadium. Exactly. Mine kind of changes. I'll get there, and first time out, especially certain games, like if I've been struggling recently, I'll tell myself like, today I'm gonna have fun. Like, you see the kids in the stands, that was you. Like, it's just a game. Like, you remind yourself about that stuff. And the one clear one in college at Vanderbilt was I had a stretch of 3 bad outings, and the team was kind of, in like a weird place because we weren't sweeping every weekend like we were earlier in the year. And Brownie said, we had an Alabama weekend, and Brownie said, like, just see it in catch play. He said you were hanging a little bit. Like, it was nothing crazy, but he was like, I know you'd love to pitch this weekend, but we're going to skip you because we need you at the end of the year. So I skipped a start after 3 bad ones. So now that's 4 weeks in a row that I hadn't had a good outing. It had been 5 weeks since my last good outing where I was really feeling myself, and we were going into Ole Miss, and I knew it was going to be crazy. And obviously the draft talks surrounding, but that's kind of just background noise too. Yeah. And I went into that Ole Miss outing, and I said, I'm just gonna have fun. I'm gonna like make a point of it in between pitches. I'm gonna look at the crowd. I'm gonna enjoy it. Remind myself this is why you came to Vanderbilt, for SEC environment. And every game's televised. If you were in low A right now, like nobody would really know what's going on.
Not a clue.
But so yeah, I went out that game, and And I remember it. Like in between pitches, if I threw 2 bad ones, I'd step off, I'd look around, I'd look in right field where all the, the frat kids sit, and I'd be like, this is cool. Everybody's watching me right now pitch. Like,
That's dope.
like,
Yeah.
so I think reminding yourself that it's fun. That's like a relaxing thing. And I mean, there's a lot of research behind that. I think like when your body's relaxed, it actually moves quicker, and we're not like a super bulky moving sport. You gotta be quick twitch. So I think staying relaxed is most important.
You talk about having fun. What are some things that you like to do outside of baseball? Because you spoke on how academics are very important to you, but like, what are things that keeps you engaged to, yes, pursue your passion to ultimately get to the big league, but things that help you ease your mind off the game as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think every off season at this point, I like to spend time at the beach. I love the beach, just like a nice relaxing couple days, whatever it is. I think that's great. I think other competitive environments kind of actually do help with like just the competitive mindset. I think people who struggle with, like, why can't I get the adrenaline going? Why can't I compete right now? I think you can kind of work on that. So just playing golf with your boys, it's really fun, but you want to win. Stuff like that, I think is awesome. And I do like to play golf. I'm not as good as I want to be, so hopefully I can get there. But I think just
out there.
I think just spending time with teammates is the number one thing.
No, that's real, man.
We did this thing junior year and senior year where, especially when the media started to get involved with us, and we go to the summer room and it's a green screen, and they'll have us dance or like sing or do some crazy stuff for the fans, get them hype, or ask us questions, silly stuff. Did they do the same thing with y'all? You got any? Like me, him, and Julian.
Enrique's putting you on the spot.
Like
Temptations.
Yeah. Like we were dancing to the Temptations, and they didn't show it one time until like the end of the year. I think they showed it one time at the end of the year.
It's a good thing they didn't show it.
Well, you couldn't dance, so that's why they didn't put you on there.
Nah, they didn't want me to kill it. They didn't want me to kill it.
Ain't know none of the words.
So this would be just team led?
No,
the green room stuff, all the green room stuff before the year,
like
for like the video board and stuff. And so Enrique said that he was in there with you one time.
Yeah, go ahead and speak on that a little bit.
There's a story behind that.
I mean, I don't know exactly the story you're referring to, but I was never big. I was never big on any of that stuff. I think maybe the story you're trying to tell is before the season they were doing like the hype them up, like start clapping and be like, everybody get on your feet. And then she asked me if I'd be okay if they showed it while I was on the mound. Like when I had 2 strikes, if they showed me on the scoreboard.
That's weird. That's lame.
like clapping and telling everybody to get on their feet, and I'm pitching. Like I said no. That was a hard no for me.
Yeah, that's what? That's lame.
Was that the story?
Yeah, he said that you just weren't a fan of it. You're like,
no,
I wouldn't be a fan of that either.
We're not putting my face on there when I'm pitching.
No, and Enrique loves that stuff, and I think that's awesome. But like, I don't know, I can't get it going for a green screen. Like,
it's not authentic enough. It's kind of hard to envision.
You really got to create that yourself.
Yeah,
that's tough.
I didn't know they was trying to put that on when you got 2 strikes.
Enrique didn't say the full story. He tried to make it sound like you weren't really messing with it.
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't have liked that.
I feel you. Give me somebody that it can be not on your team. So a pitcher that you've seen in your 2 years, that you looked at and like, damn, he's legit. Like he's a dude, like.
At Vandy or on the other
why you on at Vandy? Those 2 years you at Vandy, not on Vandy's team, but other people's squads. Like you saw them pitch and you was like, okay, like I'm tuned in.
I mean, the easy answer is Kevin Kopps, and he won the Golden Spikes as a relief pitcher with Arkansas in 2021, and he deserved that one because he was a relief pitcher who threw 100 innings, which is unheard of, and basically they used him a questionable amount, I think.
Yeah.
They would throw him, especially at the end of the year. I think he had a weekend where he went 3 innings on Friday, 1 inning on Sunday, and 9 innings on Monday.
God,
or something like that. It was ridiculous, and he was putting up zeros always. And in the that
Cuz was on something.
that SEC tournament where they eliminated us on the Friday.
He threw that night, didn't he?
But they put him in the game. I said, God damn.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. Hey, I bleed black and gold, but I saw him come out bullpen. I said, oh.
I had a little hope though. I said, man.
Not that year. I'm sorry. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Look. I'm like, cause maybe he gonna have an off night. You know, maybe
I was thinking the same.
You feel
thing.
me? That cutter that he throws, cutter splitter, whatever
He's
it
gonna
is.
leave it over the
like
plate
he gonna
one
leave it
time?
up. He gonna leave it up.
Nah, he ain't do that.
The crazy thing was though, that week the Arkansas coach said he's pitching 1 inning this whole week max.
Lies. That was strategy.
Cap.
We're gonna win. We're gonna give him like the week to rest. I think he was like he had been overused recently, so we're like, all right, we got 1 inning of Cops. That's gonna happen. But until the 8th, we got a shot.
Yeah,
we got a shot.
Be all right.
So we're up we're down like 3-1 maybe. It's a close game, and he comes in like the 5th inning. And we're like, all right, he's not pitching 1 inning, and he finished that game out. So that's how our run ended in the SEC tournament with Kevin Kopps.
Was there a hitter that you saw, you might not have faced, or you saw that year that you were just like, oh, okay, he's going crazy?
Yeah, so at the end of the year, I made the statement, and this was 2 years ago now. I was like, I think I know who the top 3 picks are going to be in the 2023 draft already, just off of who I faced this year. And it was Dylan Cruz from LSU, it was Jacob Gonzalez from Ole Miss, and it was Enrique. And those were the 3 guys that I was like, those 3 guys are a step above, and they're freshmen. They were all freshmen, so I was like, in 2 years, those guys are going to be high picks, and it's looking like it.
Dang.
Yeah. You know,
That man calling shots.
You're not wrong.
Calling
I mean, that's what it is now.
Although hopefully Enrique goes 4 this year. The Rangers.
Oh, look at you. Oh, he over here trying to advertise.
Hey,
He
go
advertising.
ahead, Rangers.
Say it in the camera.
How was that when Kumar got drafted to the Rangers? Like, how
That was unexpected too.
Yeah.
That was,
or maybe
that was
you knew
awesome.
and we didn't know.
He probably knew.
No, I didn't know. That was awesome. That was crazy. I mean, people based on like the mock drafts, and those aren't usually accurate, but they're usually pretty close. I mean, it was awesome. And I was on a flight home from somewhere with my dad, and like right as we landed, I knew the draft was going on, so I wanted to check in, and right as we landed, we put it on, and it was like the Rangers were picking, so we timed it perfectly, and they picked Kumar, and I was like, whoa, that's awesome. And I was so excited. I still haven't seen him in person since the draft, so I'm really excited for when that does happen, and I think it's gonna be sometime in January. He's gonna come out here.
So we'll get him on the pod for sure.
Yeah, he ducked us, but we
while we on that, I guess
we don't get him.
like Enrique talked about it a little bit, like just rocker before a Friday night, like him, because freshman year, he wasn't like he was very to himself. He would have his earbuds in, headphones in. He would do his little pitching motion in the middle of the locker room, go through it routinely, but it was very silent. You know, he wasn't outwardly. When Enrique was telling us that it was the complete opposite. You know, like him, like the music going. You know, like just talk about just.
He was free.
It's an event, low key. Like
he was making it's Kumar's day. It's my day. That's what it sounded like.
It is. Yeah, and he was talking. He was making jokes with guys.
Dang.
And I remember I remember thinking that like this is a big game we got today, and he was loose. He was loose, and then the time would come, and he would flip the switch and you know throw the headphones in, whatever it was, and then from that point it's no talking to him. But yeah, he was free, and that was something that I kind of looked at because I'm always a guy that like. From the time I wake up, it's like I can barely eat. It's like there's game day anxiety. I'm ready to go. I just want game time to come because that's all I can think about all day. And to an extent, that's actually like not necessarily what I want to do. I want to be able to relax a little bit and then flip that switch. So that's something that I still kind of mess around with is what time of day on start day to like flip that switch.
Before we wrap it up, you feel any type of pressure in terms of you being picked 2 in the draft, the money slide, your dad, like, do you feel being at Vandy? Because number one, just being at Vandy by itself, and you go other places, people got hella questions for you.
Yeah.
They want to know about core. They want to know about the program.
Man.
Like it's so up here in everybody else's eyes, so it's
And
pressure
they're
on
so
that.
curious about
But
it.
you got that on top of your dad, on top of being picked second. You know, like, how do you manage that? Or do you feel anything at all? Or you like, F it, like, no.
I mean, I think to an extent you got to just be like, yeah, F it, you know, relax, have fun. Remember like why you play the game in the first place. Also, I like to look back, and on every problem I deal with, I look back and I'm like, you know, if 14-year-old Jack was, I was talking to him and I told him this is the shoes we're in and these are the problems we're dealing with, he would have been like, I'll take those problems.
Hell yeah.
I'll take those problems. So I think that's something important to remember, just the reason why you do it and the progress that you've made. But in the moment, it's real. And, you know, when the results aren't going your way, which this year in particular, a lot of them weren't, it's something that you gotta work your way through. And I'm looking forward to continuing to do that because I think that's an exciting thing is you know, little things. What do I want to change in my mindset, my mental process, and my physical process, and how can you know, keep getting better?
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. Well, shoot, that does it, man.
That was fun.
Yeah,
That was a lot of fun.
That was good
Appreciate you
stuff
coming
right
through,
there.
dog.
You guys.
Yeah, give us
That
some
was
game.
awesome.
You know, to the everybody, get insight on Jack Leiter in this conversation. We appreciate you from coming by the crib. And
Hey, follow him, follow us. Stay tuned. He's got big things coming. We got big things coming. Subscribe to the channel.
2%, man. Let us know who you guys want on the pod. You know, any sport.
DM.
You know, college, professional. Let us know. And yeah, we out. Till next time. Peace.
Yes.